the learning curve today? Because, you know, in the introduction I heard you say that you've got about 3 gold suppliers here in India. What do you see that number in the next 5 years, for instance?
We certainly like to see that grow significantly. I wouldn't be surprised if that grows 4 or 5 times. You know, we want every one of our suppliers to be gold level. You know,
but what could come in the way of that objective and that aspiration?
It's a matter of time and effort required to make sure that they have the capabilities and systems to meet the quality and delivery requirements. It's an attainable goal for almost every supplier we have in India, and we certainly hope that they can get there over the next 2 to 3 years. We have seen, right now we have about 30-odd suppliers from India who directly supply to Boeing, and roughly about 120 other suppliers that touch Boeing components and products. So we have a large scale already. We have to get their capabilities to a level so we see more gold suppliers.
So, you know, I'll talk about capability building and what you're doing in collaboration with your partners to enhance that. But when you talk to your partners, what are the pain points that they specifically talk about? You know, because we've been running a show on CNBC TV 18 called Make in India, New Deal for Defense. And a lot of the concerns that people talk to us about are around tax, are around capability building, are around technology and the transfer of technology, even financing and access to capital. What are the pain points that they talk to you about?
So you kind of counted some of that already. So the first step is get them ready from a capability point of view. So skilling their frontline factory workers. Supplier quality. Quality is a huge focus, so having quality systems and making sure their processes to deliver to that requirement. Making sure they're ready to accept and understand the drawings and get to build drawing and then enhance that further, right? I think the capital is not a huge constraint. If you have the capability out there and if there's a visibility in terms of supply pipeline, the capital will come. That hasn't been a huge constraint. In fact, a lot of suppliers are stepping up to invest themselves, which is a very encouraging sign. And we certainly
the long gestation period, the long procurement period, how much of a concern is that, especially as far as the small and medium enterprise is concerned?
So when it comes to supplying directly to Indian Ministry of Defense, that is a big concern. But we're getting our suppliers up to speed and getting them started with some of our own requirements. So they export to Boeing, and therefore it's less of a concern. Now they have to have longer visibility in terms of supplier volume. That we work with them on case-by-case basis. In some cases it's shorter, in other cases maybe longer. But we are getting our suppliers ready with export volume at this point of time versus making them rely solely on supplying to the Indian government.
So from an export point of view and this aspiration of using India as an export hub, which everybody seems to be talking about today, what do you see as being the big obstacles to be able to achieve that?
Okay, so I think you have to get to scale. So we have to get the capabilities up to par to be internationally competitive. So again, we talked about cost, quality, and delivery, right? So as long as the Indian suppliers are able to meet that bar and able to outcompete the global, competition, that's the only challenge. Once you get there, then you can get into our global supply chain, and they're there for the long haul. And we will work with them to help them get there.
So if I could address the cost issue, beyond the advantage of the labor arbitrage, where else do you foresee yourself being able to squeeze out costs further for yourself as well as for your suppliers?
So I think there are two types of cost opportunity we see. One is just the labor arbitrage in frontline factory worker wage structure. But also in terms of design and engineering, we see a big opportunity, right? India has pretty deep and broad capabilities in engineering and software. We see a lot of opportunities in that space as well. Now, when it comes to strictly capital or electricity, then it becomes difficult because capital is not cheap in India and power is not cheap in India. So then you start your competitiveness versus global supply base is not there. But when you focus your energy into area that requires a lot of touch labor and a lot of engineering and software kind of activity, that's where we see.
So will that continue to be what you will focus on here in India, which has been what you've been focusing on so far as well?
So that's a start. We certainly want to grow up that curve, and we are getting into machining of some complex parts, that is getting to the next level. And as the skill levels improves, as the power curve, electricity cost is dropping in India, more reliable, that's happening. Infrastructure improves, we'll get into that space as well. So the right place to start is where there's clear value opportunity now, and then grow up the curve as we go.
You know, you talked about the company-to-country strategy for you, but how important is the country-to-country strategy going to be as far as Boeing's aspirations in India? At this point in time, both sides talk about alliance, a natural partnership, the two largest democracies in the world doing business together. Both President Obama and Prime Minister Modi seem very keen on nurturing the business-to-business relationship as well. What does that mean for a company like yours?
For our defense business is quite central, because a lot of the technology release permissions have to come from the US government. So very important, the relationship between the two countries. So the alignment, strategic alignment between US and India is very important for the growth of our defense business. We have seen the new initiatives like DTTI. That's an important initiative that will open the way for clearing path for more technology transfer to India, and that helps us. The alignment in terms of what geopolitics mean, what regional security means, that is important to us, because that helps us to really embed ourselves in meeting the enduring needs of our customers in this part of the world. So that alignment is very central to our business, especially on the defense side. Less so on the commercial side, but defense is quite important.
So given the visibility that you currently have on the commercial side, where I would imagine you have far greater visibility than the defense side, what kind of investments can we expect from Boeing in India, and what would your business look like over the next 5 years here?
So the investments are going to be in primarily a couple of areas. One is growing our footprint in engineering and software, as well as growing our footprint in manufacturing and supply base. And if you look forward next 5 years, we certainly see a much larger presence in terms of number of people in country, a much more robust supply chain. We're embedded in our global supply chain in a reliable, long-term manner, right? So we want to see more gold suppliers. So suppose you were doing this discussion 5 years from today, instead of 3, I'll be delighted if you have 15 gold suppliers from India, and I'll be delighted if perhaps a few of those, maybe 5 of those are able to win our Supplier of the Year kind of award at a global level. So that's our aspiration.
Well, we hope that the government does address some of those issues that we've talked about here. Thank you very much for joining us on CNBC TV 18. We wish you the very best of luck with your Make in India plans in India. Thanks very much. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us here this evening.